Hi, folks. Will from MinIO here, and today, as part of our Get to Know MinIO series, I'm talking with Poorna, who's heading up our development of active replication. And this is a pretty unique feature of MinIO in the marketplace. What was the challenge we saw that active replication addresses?
As customers put in mission critical data into MinIO, the question of business continuity and recovery becomes important.
Mm,
And active replication fills that need. If one of the clusters goes down, then active replication allows you to quickly fail over to the next cluster. And in case of prolonged uh, outages, or if the cluster is entirely lost,
wow.
then it's easy to quickly stand up a new cluster in its place and rehydrate the data from the other cluster that has the data.
Well, that's
So
fantastic. So you're getting both disaster recovery and high availability from all
that's right.
this. So I'm sure there's lots of use cases for this for when it makes sense. But what's the best practice when you're deploying this?
Pretty much wherever the data is critical and you need business continuity and disaster recovery, this is a
Right.
must to deploy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was looking at it. It's almost like, to be honest, it's almost like active replication is like you've set up active passive on MinIO, and there's like one more step to take to get it to go back the other way. So I almost feel like an active passive setup is like an active that you just haven't finished yet.
Yeah,
So
in essence, active passive and active are more or less one and the same, except that when there is a disaster, that's not the time you want to be setting up replication from the passive side over. So we
right.
recommend people set up active replication, push data only to the main cluster, and in the case of a disaster, just uh, flip and point to the other cluster that has the data.
Gotcha. I, so you're sending stuff back and forth like that. I really feel like since you could write either side and it gets replicated either way, it could easily cause trouble if we're not really careful with our implementation. So, what's the biggest issue we overcame in making our implementation reliable?
So basically, replication by itself is inherently simple because we rely on versioning immutability and the
Hmm.
fact that any data that comes into a cluster always replicates outward to the target cluster. So it's a one-way replication basically. So by carefully managing the state, replication state, which is part of the object metadata itself, we are able to ensure that replication does just what it needs to and doesn't overdo its thing. So the larger challenge is to actually be able to predict when the replication failures will be synced over, because once, as long as the inline data replication inflow rate is matching the rate at which we can transfer, it's all good. But if there is a temporary downtime in the other cluster, or we need to pick up after some failures, then we were relying on the scanner for doing this. And the scanner does its job very well, but it is unpredictable on when it will actually get to the replication backlog. So we have brought in some improvements recently, so to kind of persist all these replication failures to disk and manage it all within the replication subsystem itself, and also provide the ability to kind of heal on access. So essentially, if you notice that the metadata says replication status has failed, then we requeue it for replication, so it's much faster now.
So it's just getting better and better and better, is what I'm hearing. So that's fantastic.
Yeah,
All
that's right.
righty. Well, Purna, thanks so much for joining us today. Folks watching at home, if you'd like to reach out with us, you can contact us using any of the methods you see here on the screen. You can also reach out to us interactively on slack.min.io, and Purna's on there sometimes as well. And if you want to leave a comment on the video, that's great. Purna, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great learning about active replication.
Thank you, Will, for having me.
All right. Bye, folks.